name is Vita and I'm the founder of Resume Last, and today we're going to talk about a sad topic, layoffs. And I think it's something that is definitely happening here in 2020. If you're watching me today or next week or in 2020, that definitely applies to you as well. Hopefully not as much, but maybe somebody you might know. And I put together a list of things that you need to take in order to be afloat after you were laid off, in case you were laid off or somebody you know were laid off. Anyway, I recommend this video. This is definitely about layoffs. So we will talk about severance package, medical insurance, then the unemployment, and also as a final step, looking for a new job. So let's start with severance package. Severance package is something that your employer puts together when they decided to lay you off. It's not something that they should do according to the law. It's something that they decided at their own will to do for you. And we'll talk about the reasons behind that a little bit later today. But first of all, if you heard the news that you're laid off today, you probably received this big yellow envelope, and there you will see a severance agreement. In that severance agreement, you might find some additional pay. Usually it's 2 weeks per year that you've worked or you've been with the company. Depends on your position. If you were at a higher position or more executive, I guess, more advanced in your career, then you might get more months. That all depends on your title. And so make sure that you don't sign that severance agreement right away. Make sure that you take it home, you think it over, you read it over, you take it to your HR friend who might help you out and help with negotiation some of the additional things that are not included in that agreement, and even a little bit more money, because there is always room for negotiation on that severance agreement. What exactly should you look for on the severance agreement? You should probably talk about continuation of your medical insurance. And as you know, once you are done with the current employer, you might choose to be on COBRA, where you're paying the same amount that your employer was paying on your behalf for your medical insurance. But then, of course, you're paying it yourself. And that's usually between $450 and up to $700, $800, depends on the plan that employer had for you in place, and depends on how many dependents you had on that plan. So just be mindful that COBRA, few months of COBRA could also be included into the severance package, and you can negotiate that. You can also talk about additional payments in terms of the salary. And the way to do it is to talk to your former co-workers now. I'm sure if it's a mass layoff, you will have same work friends or people you've worked with who were laid off, because usually if it's called a layoff, and especially during the hard economic times, people are laid off in groups. And so you really want to connect and see how much they got, how many years they worked, and by how much they got, I don't mean the number, the actual number. They can just tell you, oh, I got 1 month worth of pay or 2 months and so on, and you can compare it to your package, what you received. And of course, if you see that there is some discrepancy, you probably really want to make sure that it's aligned with theirs. And so if it's less than theirs, there is a talking point. Here's a talking point for you to negotiate it a little bit better. Some other things that could be included and could be negotiated is adding a career coach to your severance package. So somebody like me who could help you out with your resume or with some interview prep, as well as LinkedIn profiles and so forth. And this could be paid by your former employer just as a nice gesture to show that they appreciate you, but unfortunately, for certain reasons, they had to lay you off. So that should be included. Not should be, but that could be included. So think about that. Another thing that you could talk about is vesting of some stock that hasn't been vested fully. So for instance, as you know, there's a certain cliff. If you did receive some stocks or options as you were employed in your offer letter, you need to vest it before you can actually purchase those options or options to turn into stocks. So you really want to make sure that you talk about vesting more than you've been with the company. So for instance, if you've been with the company for only 2.5 years, but then you can negotiate vesting of your stocks up to 3 years. And especially if the company is doing really well, that could really benefit you in the long run. And that will give you more money later on. So why not? I think it's always a great idea to negotiate, to talk, at least to touch on that. And some other things to talk about and to be really, really precise about reading through is non-compete agreement. So some companies are very smart, they have really smart legal department, and they put this non-compete section, which means that for the next 12 months you cannot work for a competitor company. And that might really not be okay with you, because potentially all your expertise is related to this certain field. And from my personal experience as an HR manager, we had a person who interviewed extremely well with our company, went through 10 different interviewers. We absolutely loved this person. We presented an offer letter to this candidate, and they said, oh my God, I'm really in love with your company. I would love to join you, but I cannot for the next 8 months. And just because I actually signed this non-compete agreement and I'm not allowed to work for a competitor within 12 months after being gone from the certain employer. So just be mindful of that. It's really important, and really make sure that you read through everything in that agreement before you sign it. Usually you get it several days, depends on the employer, but they give you a deadline that you need to sign it by. And if you're over 40 years old, then you get even more time to think it over and to sign or not sign. Just keep that in mind. Some other non-obvious benefits that you could negotiate in that severance agreement is death or disability insurance. So it doesn't really cost that much for an employer, but they can pay on your behalf for that. If, for instance, something were to happen to you and you have this insurance that has been paid by the former employer, it's always good. And death benefits are always good, obviously. Hopefully that won't happen, but life is life, things happen, and you just want to plan ahead. So let's talk about why would an employer want to pay this severance package that is not even a part of the law. It's just something that they decided to do on their own. Well, great reason is actually having that shining Glassdoor review, having that rating on, because that's probably number one place where people go as they interview with a certain company. They really want to make sure that your rating is, your negative rating, if you have something negative to say about them, is not in there. So in a way, they bribe you by signing this severance package. They bribe you with not saying anything negative after you sign it. You cannot disclose any information about the company and not say anything bad online about the company. And also, they're protecting themselves from a certain lawsuit. So they're being smart. There is never free money. There's always a reason behind that. But now you know why an employer would choose to pay severance package. So the next thing I would like to cover is medical insurance. This is really important. So after you've been laid off, you've negotiated your severance package, if you received one, the next thing you really want to think about is your medical insurance. Your medical insurance ends on the day that you've been laid off. Or some companies might continue it through the end of the month, but then that's it, you're on your own. And as you know, medical bills are really extremely expensive if you don't have medical coverage. So an option that you get from the government is being on COBRA, meaning that you can continue paying the same amount that employer paid on your behalf and be enrolled in the same plan. So make sure that you enroll in COBRA within 60 days after you've been laid off. If you miss that window, you won't be able to retroactively enroll into COBRA. So this is really important. I've had some people who unfortunately missed that window and there was no way for them to go back and retroactively apply. So be mindful of that. But good news is that if, for instance, you were laid off today, next week you decided to see a doctor, you forgot that you don't have an official coverage anymore, and you saw a doctor, you saw a huge bill that came in the mail or online or whatever, even at the doctor's office, you're terrified. Don't be terrified, don't worry. You can still retroactively apply for COBRA. It might take a few days, but you can still apply that medical bill towards your COBRA coverage. So it's really good news. just know that you shouldn't be throwing away any huge piles of forms that come in the mail. Unfortunately, Cobra is still really old school and nothing is being emailed to you. Usually they mail these forms in the mail. So make sure that you look through your mail in detail and you send those forms back, and only then you are confirmed to be enrolled. So this is really good to know. After you've done that, you've done Cobra, you've enrolled, then make sure that you go on EDD, Employment Development Department website, which the link will be down in the description of this video. You should apply online for this unemployment benefit that you will get in the next 6 months. 6 months after you've been laid off. There's a waiting period of 7 days, so the sooner you apply, the sooner you start receiving this unemployment benefits. And usually it's up to 4% of your salary, of your monthly salary, that is divided weekly, and each week the payments could be up to $450 per week, depending on how much you've been making at your previous company. So obviously the less you were making, the less you will be getting in unemployment benefits. You will be receiving a Bank of America debit card in the mail, and keep that debit card. You can, what some people do, they log into that Bank of America account, they hit a transfer button and connect their actual bank that they use every day, and then whenever the money, the unemployment funds reach Bank of America account, it automatically transfers to their actual bank, so they don't have to cash it out or anything like that. So it's really convenient, and just a little tip for me here. And most importantly, do not be sad that you've been laid off. I think it's just a great opportunity to find something better, to change, to take a break. Even you will have some unemployment benefits. Hopefully you'll have severance package. It's probably a new beginning. Change is always hard, but I think that it's only for the better. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel over here. You'll be notified about any new videos that might come out, and see you in the next video. Bye.